We're checking in with NFL Network's Peter Schrager. Peter, there's been so much speculation over the past few weeks, but the Broncos, they got the deal done. Sean Payton is officially the head coach of the Denver Broncos here. Peter, just to start, what excites you about this hire for the team?
Well, I got to know Sean Payton, the man, this year. I work on Fox NFL Kickoff with him, and I had never had a relationship with him when he was with the Saints. And as a reporter, when you say relationship, did I cover his games? Yes, but it never extended beyond that. He had his guys in the media, he had his gals in the media that he dealt with, and I just never was one of them. So when he got hired for Fox, I was like, all right, I'll see how this goes. And in comes this warm embrace, stories, and then the smarts. Like, this guy's got a different mind. And I talked to all the coaches. I talked to the offensive wizard. Like, we watch football together on Sundays, and he sees it differently. And he believes you can give him a roster and he will get the very most out of every single player on that roster. And they'll come away as a team that not only celebrates wins, but they'll enjoy celebrating the wins, as in, like, we're going to enjoy this thing too. And then on Monday, you're going to burn the tape and you're going to start anew, but take a moment to enjoy the wins. I think there's going to be a lot of joy, a lot of competitiveness, and he is no nonsense when it comes to practice and diligence and what it takes. But let's just say that Broncos fans, your owners are likely paying a pretty penny to bring in Sean Payton. I think he's worth every single one of them.
I know Broncos country is excited. Peter, we know he had a ton of interest from a lot of teams that had head coach openings this year. So why do you think maybe Denver was the perfect fit for him?
He was blown away by the meeting. So I know they met in Los Angeles about 10 days ago, in Orange County. And he came away and he was like, this Penner, I spoke to him. This Penner is smart. Like, he is whip smart. Condoleezza Rice is incredible. He's like, I don't know that George Payton that well. I really liked him. And there was a small group that he met with. And he said they met for a long time. They talked philosophy. They talked culture. And I think you think about the quarterback and you think about, okay, well, they've got these young players on defense. That stuff wasn't as much of a priority as the ownership group and how he loved their enthusiasm to dive in and make their first hire be a hire that can set the tone for the future of this Broncos franchise. I'll tell you one thing about Sean Payton. He took that city of New Orleans and he dove right in. He lived there in New Orleans for 16 years. He bled with those people, and he is an icon in that city. When you look at Denver and you look at what football means to Denver, and whether it's steakhouses named after John Elway or steakhouses named after Mike Shanahan, or whether it's just all of the history with Mile High, I think Sean Payton is an incredible fit because he knows the history of the game and he knows just how great that fan base is.
Yeah. Well, Peter, as you know, the Broncos are sending New Orleans this year's first round pick and a 2024 second round pick in exchange for Sean Payton and a Saints 2024 third rounder. Overall, what'd you just think about the trade?
Yeah, I think it was a good job by Mickey Loomis and the Saints to get that much from Sean Payton, because if you don't pull the trade off this year, you might not get the same compensation next year when you're talking about a guy who's now just 1 year left on his contract. I think first round pick is what I heard all along. And this is a good deal for the Saints, but it's also a good deal for the Broncos. This is an end of the first round pick. It's not a top 10 pick. And I honestly believe that if the Saints were negotiating with a team in the NFC, it's particularly the Panthers in the NFC South, they would have been demanding a lot more. So I think the Broncos fans, you might be kicking yourself a little bit saying, first and second round pick, those are really good players. But you go through the history. I don't think the Patriots ever lost sleep about trading for Bill Belichick. I don't think the Jets ever lost sleep for trading for Bill Parcells. You talk about Bruce Arians and the Cardinals, and then the Buccaneers go on to win. It's like, these trades for the coaches, they usually work out pretty well.
Well, we all saw how revolutionary, Sean Payton's offense was with the Saints. You mentioned how he was able just to get in there and turn things around. So how do you think he'll come in here and, help the Broncos get out of this playoff drought that they've been in?
Yeah, I don't know X's and O's to the point that maybe the ex-players or the analysts or the people who cover the team locally would. I couldn't tell you the first thing right now about what the Broncos offense did right or did wrong. It was an abomination from afar. Like, I just watched it and was like, it didn't work. And I think Hackett's actually a really smart offensive mind. Your fans right now who are watching this video might say, isn't this the stupid guy who picked Hackett to win coach of the year and didn't make it through the season? I was, because I knew what Rodgers thought of Hackett. And I thought he and Russ were going to have the same kind of connection that maybe McVay and Stafford had the year before. It didn't work. I do think Sean Payton comes in here, and I do think that you get a culture and you get an offense that is going to be humming with creativity. I don't know if it works with Russell Wilson. I honestly don't. I'm a fan of Russ, going back all the way to his Seattle days. But I will say this. Sean Payton showed up to New Orleans. That franchise hadn't won anything in their history, relatively speaking, nothing in the postseason.
Yeah.
And Drew Brees was a guy who people had written off because of a shoulder injury, and they went on to have an amazing, amazing run together. I wouldn't rule out Sean Payton and Russell Wilson having some success too. Here's one point that I do have that I don't think anyone else talks about. He coached him in the Pro Bowl a few years ago, so they do have a relationship in some way. And Drew Brees lives in San Diego, as does Russell Wilson, and those guys are friendly. And if you put the connection together, I don't think Sean Payton runs to this job if Brees doesn't put a good word in for Russell Wilson and at least says, hey, this is a good dude you could work with.
Well, Peter, what do you think maybe is at the top of Sean Payton's to-do list, once he gets in here?
Figure out what's up with Russ. Last year was not the Russell Wilson that the Broncos traded for or paid that salary to. So it's going to be a reconstruction project or just, hey, let me look at this guy. Oh, he's okay. We just have to build something around him. But Russell Wilson and him and the relationship's going to be important. Yeah. I don't know many people who have an ability to connect with people of all different types of backgrounds and upbringings and experiences like Sean does. I mean, those players who played from New Orleans swear by him, but also the people he's touched over the course of his career with Dallas and with New York and with Philadelphia. He's a special connector of people and a special type of guy when it comes to juice. And if Russell Wilson sort of was a bit off this past year as far as statistics and maybe what version of Russ we got, I would like to think he's going to have to connect with Peyton for them to get that on track. And that will be Sean's first job in Denver.
Definitely. Well, last one here for you. Once he starts to build his staff here, is there anyone that Broncos country should keep their eye out for?
Ooh. Yeah, he's definitely not coming in here just, hey, it's me and Sean Payton. I'm going to start dialing up guys, cold calling them. I'd be interested about the defensive coordinator job. Right now, it looks like there was a report that Vic Fangio was going to Miami. And then it was like, no, he might be going to San Francisco. And then everyone's like, well, he would never go back to Denver. He was the head coach there. But Sean and Vic are very close. So I'd like to see and follow that one. I think Evero did a fantastic job last year. And I don't think Sean's opposed to saying, wait, if he's willing to come back as a defensive coordinator, I mean, gosh, that was a tremendous defense and he's a young talent. Would love to have him, but they don't have much of a relationship or a history. Dennis Allen's back in New Orleans as defensive coordinator. So he's a head coach. So he's not coming as the DC. Be curious the staff Sean builds. Really bright guy with a lot of people in his Rolodex that he's worked with. And I don't think he's going to be poaching from the New Orleans staff as much as looking for guys who he either hasn't met before, who have had success, or also guys that he's worked with and has loved in the past who might not be under contract with the Saints.
Right. Well, lots to look forward to in the next couple of days. Peter, appreciate you joining the show and appreciate your insight always.
Thank you.